the All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is AC's Conversations.
AC's Conversations is about sports, music, TV, movies, and more.
It's everything and more.
Everything is ready to go.
That include the latest news and rumors, along with interviews with the biggest names in sports and entertainment.
This
is AC's Conversations with your host,
News 8 Sports Director.
The man is the real deal.
Let's go to work, fella.
Anthony Calhoun.
This podcast is presented by Nissan.
Hi, everybody. Anthony Calhoun here with AC's Conversations on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Today, we're getting a chance to spend some time with a guy who's really one of the biggest faces when it comes to putting on the NCAA tournament from behind the scenes here in Indianapolis. He's vice president with Visit Indy, Chris Gahl, who has his hands in a lot of things the next 29 days here when it comes to college basketball. Enjoy the conversation, everybody. We're kind of changing gears here this week. Usually you'll hear from some of the famous athletes and coaches, but we're going to switch things up this week. We're going to have on the show here Chris Gahl with Visit Indy, our friend who has been with Visit Indy, it seems like forever, but these are the folks who play host to big events that come to our city, not just sports, but also from the conference side of things around the country. And, of course, I wanted to have him on the podcast, the All Indiana Podcast, because of this big month coming up of March Madness, and first time ever, unprecedented, that the entire men's basketball tournament is going to be played right here in Indianapolis. Chris, thank you so much, my man, for joining us here on AC's Conversations. And I know I'm excited about the next few weeks. I know you have to be as well, but boy, do you have your hands full trying to play host to these 68 teams coming to town.
Well, AC, thanks for having me on. It's a bit of pride and also some butterflies, to be candid, because of this abnormal time we find ourselves, and that's hosting March Madness in its entirety. It's extra sweet because the NCAA is located here and has been such a awesome partner, a community partner here in Indianapolis. And so we're trying to have those butterflies fly in formation and get ready for March Madness. We feel like we're ready. And there are a lot of moving parts and also a lot of opportunities to put Indy on a national stage again and show off the city and its capabilities coming out of a pandemic, which could arguably lead us to be the fastest city in the U.S. to recover and help us bounce back even more quickly than anticipated.
I know it's interesting to hear you say recover, because I remember having just some conversations with you in the past how, this time last year, before COVID-19 really hit the United States, Visit Indy, the convention business, if you will, was just flourishing, wasn't it, with you guys in Indy? Take us through that and just how high you guys were. And we knew we had big sporting events coming to town as well.
Well, AC, you're exactly right. The momentum we carried into 2020 was real. Not only is it the city's bicentennial, our 200th birthday, we had a record-setting 30 million visitors come to the capital city, a record-setting 83,000 men and women who depend on tourism for a paycheck. That all came to a screeching halt while the men and women were playing as part of the Big Ten men's and women's basketball championships, and tourism came to a screeching halt. We lost our momentum in 2020, more than $600 million in lost convention business as individuals were just not convening. However, as we planted the seed alongside the Indiana Sports Corps and the governor's office and the mayor's office, we started kicking around the idea of bouncing back in a big way with hosting conferences and meetings inside the convention center and call back some of that business. And proof of concept was real. We hosted amateur youth sporting events like volleyball and basketball. That gave way to additional conferences. And so by the fall, we had some events under our belt, and the NCAA started thinking about this idea, Indianapolis in its entirety hosting the tournament. And so we have bounced back, but the momentum we had coming into 2020 was real. And what really hurts us the most, AC, is that currently we believe about 40% of the men and women who depend on tourism for a paycheck are either underemployed or unemployed. And so hosting March Madness, the sweetest part, not the publicity, not the economic impact, it's getting Hoosiers back working, and that's what we're most excited about.
That is great to hear that there. I mean, getting them back to work. And so when you look at a city like Indianapolis, we know we've played host to more Final Fours. There's only one other city that's hosted more than us. That's it, second to overall. And we know how to, host big events. What has been the chatter among other cities to know that you guys have been gifted, if you will, this opportunity of a lifetime?
There's not another city in the nation that would not want to be in Indy's shoes at this moment. The abnormal amount of media coverage the city will enjoy, the brand building boost from social media with more than 2,000 members of the media descending on Indianapolis, not only reporting on the X's and O's and what's happening on the floor inside the venues, but also the host city. We've gotten calls from LA to New York, from San Francisco to Denver. They're inquiring how Indianapolis arrived at this moment, how we're putting these best practices in place alongside a very, very strong partner in the NCAA. And so there's a bit of envy. There's a bit of envy that Indianapolis is able to arrive at this moment on this big stage and come through with this type of event. And so we soak that in. We're sharing best practices. We're also a bit competitive here in Indianapolis. And so we don't mind sharing the best practices, also knowing that other cities are eyeing us and wondering how in the world we're able to put this in place.
Yeah, so you look at this. I mean, you talk about the pressure on. Let's go back to November when the news was announced that there was a possibility that Indianapolis could play host to the entire NCAA tournament. And then on January the 4th, the announcement was official that it was a done deal. What was your reaction? What was the feel among yourself and the team on this unprecedented opportunity?
Well, there's 52 of us at Visit Indy, and there's a sense of pride that we still carry through today. And there's also a sense of stewardship, AC, the fact that we have been entrusted with such a premier event, arguably the most premier event the NCAA puts on each year. There's a sense of making sure that we come through in a big way, in a meaningful way, an authentic way. And so that pride is carried with us daily. And we know that this is certainly more than a game. We know that this is a defining moment in Indianapolis' history. Without question, 20 years from now, as people eye Indianapolis and our progression as a city, as a community, they will look to this moment, March, and the city's ability to host this tournament in its entirety. It'll springboard us as a community out of this pandemic, and we'll look at this point in the city's history and say, wow, that was the time Indianapolis really was in the spotlight and took it up a level. It's the same way that we might today look at the Super Bowl and how that catapulted Indianapolis to the next level. Yeah. It's the same way we look at the Pan American Games in 1987 as a defining moment. So it's a big stage, and it's a moment we're ready for.
Yeah, the biggest stage in college sports. I mean, hands down, when you think about March Madness, and not only that, but just the economically, what it brings into the NCAA and all the institutions, of course, with the NCAA. So let me ask you this. This has never been done before, and as you mentioned, we've had the Super Bowl here, the Pan Am Games. You talk about that, and we've had Final Fours, but we're talking about playing host to 68 teams. You got hotels involved. You're dealing with a pandemic still. Do you feel the pressure at all? Because all eyes is going to be on Indy and the folks, the volunteers, people like yourself behind the scenes that are hoping to make this a big success.
There is a level of pressure. It's also many of the pages from playbooks we've used in the past collectively as a team, Team Indy, if you will. When you have the oldest sports commission in the nation, the Indiana Sports Corporation, they've done this before. When you look at the operations and the flawlessness of how they execute a plan and put things in place, operationally we feel very, very confident, even amidst the pandemic, that the thoughtfulness and the decisions made in partnership with the NCAA and the Indiana Sports Corps, every one of those 2,300 student athletes that will race to Indy to be part of this tournament will safely be welcomed, safely be kept. Their mental health, first and foremost, in addition to their physical health. You know, you think about these student athletes at the epicenter of this event, these tournament games. They're coming to the end of their semester. They're hoping to make it to the end of the bracket. And there's a lot of stress involved with welcoming these students, but also putting first and foremost their health and safety. And so we're really relishing that, and we're trying to, as a team, everyone involved, really enjoy the moment we're living in because it is so special. It will most likely not happen again, and we want to just relish and celebrate each and every one of these wins. And as we get closer to Selection Sunday and tipping off, things start taking care of themselves, and all the planning starts unfolding, and that will be a very rewarding moment. Certainly on the 5th of April on a Monday when the ball tips off, and your good friend Jim Nance is calling the championship game again in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
that's a big moment.
Yeah, it is. So these venues that we have, we know how special they are, but I think one thing's going to be so cool. You mentioned Jim Nance. It's going to be great hearing these broadcasters and Ernie Johnson and Greg Gumbel when they toss it out to different venues where it's like, hey, let's go down the road to Lucas Oil Stadium. Let's go up the street here to Banker's Life. I mean, how cool is that going to be just to be able to spotlight not only those venues, but the videos that they have, the shots of downtown, the circle. I mean, all the special, monuments, if you will, that they have here in this city. How great is that going to be on a national stage?
Oh, it's a huge opportunity to build Indy's brand with a national audience. A lot of those C-suite executives are tuning in, thinking about hosting a conference here, thinking about bringing their families here, thinking about hosting other sporting events, and they'll see amidst the pandemic Indianapolis winning. As you mentioned, AC, we know that more than 200 hours of live TV coverage from Indianapolis with those beautiful skyline shots coming in and out of commercials, up to 2,000 members of the media coming here to Indianapolis. That's how you boost your brand. That's how you come out of a pandemic. You think about that sweet-sounding word Indianapolis, repeated hundreds of thousands of times. That is invaluable media exposure. You think about just this past week, Clark Kellogg calling a game and talking about Indianapolis and the venues and the host city is ready. That's how you boost a brand. That is an immeasurable media value, and that's one of the pieces that Indianapolis has always enjoyed is the national media coming. We know how to take care of them, how to engage them, how to work with them, and we've earned their respect, and that has paid off time in and time out again and again, and will be the case here in the coming 30 days as we welcome again nearly 2,000 members of the national media.
What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to, as we come out of this pandemic, as spring turns, walking downtown with a mask on, seeing friends, seeing fans, seeing the media, seeing the vibrancy. We're curating every corner will have live music, we'll have artists. Some of the empty storefronts will have murals. The vibrancy of Indianapolis unquestionably will be back, and I'm just looking forward to walking downtown and feeling the normalcy of the vibrancy of downtown, and then I'm looking forward to seeing the results, seeing how we score, seeing how the media scores us, seeing how the NCAA scores us in terms of the success of the event, and celebrating that and using it as a springboard to keep Indianapolis' momentum going.
You mentioned how there's going to be different things that folks can see downtown. What can they expect to see when they come to Indianapolis, or folks who live here who may be making their way downtown who may have access to tickets to the game?
I think there's a misperception that's continued here that somehow downtown's not open or it's not safe, it's not welcoming, and that could not be further from the case. In fact, we're welcoming visitors every day and gearing up for March Madness. We know our hotels are buzzing, our restaurants are opening, further seats outside and inside. It's very safe. We are curating local artists and local musicians to play on the streets every night. During March Madness, shining a light on Monument Circle will have a special tribute to the NCAA and basketball and our heritage. There's special tours and murals that you can see that are going up, pieces of public art just for this game. And so whether you're clutching a game ticket or not, come downtown. If you love Indy, if you're committed to helping Indy, come downtown, take in a restaurant, check out a game on a TV. There are going to be tickets available. We're very proud of that. And so regardless, you can come downtown and be part of the action, part of the activity. And we're closing Georgia Street. You'll see some activities there along Georgia Street. And keep an eye out for celebrities. We know they're coming. We know that the national media are here, and it'll be fun to be part of that atmosphere.
It's going to be fun indeed. And I'll get you out on this because I know how hard you work, Chris, and the job that yourself and your big man, your boss there, and everybody else who help take part in making this city such a great place to visit and puts us on the map. But I know one of the reasons why we do such a wonderful job and why you guys really lead the charge here on so many big events and conferences is that you have tremendous, it seems like to me, communication and teamwork among the hotels in town. You talk about Indiana Sports Corp, if it's a Pacers deal, if it's a Colts deal, everybody seems to be on page. Is that unique there with this city?
It is. We've talked to other cities. Other cities come here. They want to know, how does Indy keep winning? And it's trust. It's partnership. There's an authenticity to doing business here in Indianapolis. You can feel that. There are long-standing relationships, as you mentioned, with the Sports Corps, city governments, Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Victory Field, Lucas Oil Stadium. People want to do what's best for Indianapolis. And when you do that and you have that as the end goal, we win in a good way, in a humble way, in a hospitable way. And so that trust is built up decades in the making, and we're a team, and that's felt, and that puts itself and manifests itself in opportunities like hosting March Madness in its entirety. So it's a good feeling, and it's built on trust.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. I still can't believe I'm actually saying this. The entire field of 68 here in Indianapolis, man, and there's only one city I truly believe, that can pull this off and do it with flying colors and have huge success, and that's the great city of Indianapolis, our home state. And so I'm excited, from a broadcaster's perspective, to be able to be there for these games and to see my town, my city, shine so brightly in the biggest stage, as I mentioned, in college sports. I know it's going to happen because of great folks like yourself, Chris, and all the job that you got, all the wonderful work that yourself and the folks from Visit Indy that they do. So thank you so much, my man, for joining us here on AC's Conversations, a part of the All Indiana Podcast Network, and all the best to you, and wish you nothing but the best, my man, this entire month.
Hey, thanks for having me on, AC. It's a pleasure and an honor.
All right, brother. Take care. We'll see you. Big thank you to Chris for taking time to talk to us here on AC's Conversations. Hey, don't forget, everybody, you can get more of the inside scoop on what's going on in this town, of course, with these teams here in Indianapolis on AC's Conversations. We'll see you next time.
This podcast is presented by Nissan.
Discover more at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to follow and subscribe to the AC's Conversations podcast and others on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Connect now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.